What if adulthood wasn't about growing up, but about learning to live with uncertainty? Bee and Puppycat might look like a dreamlike comedy about a clumsy girl and her mysterious companion, but beneath the pastel colors and floating music lies something profoundly human. The ache of loneliness, the fear of failure, and the quiet hope that maybe we could still make something beautiful out of our mess. It's a story about the invisible weight of being alive, about losing jobs, missing connections, and still finding reasons to care. It could well be a study in developmental psychology and adult adjustment, illustrating Erikson's stage of intimacy versus isolation, where young adults navigate forming meaningful bonds while confronting personal insecurities. It's soft and strange and ridiculous at times, whimsical and sad, much like adulthood itself. The series opens with Bee being fired from her job. She stands in front of her boss, confused and apologetic, as the words "you're fired" drop like a dull echo. There's no dramatic outburst, just stillness, almost acceptance. This mirrors the psychological concept of role loss from adult developmental theory, where losing a position or identity can trigger feelings of purposelessness and decreased self-efficacy. That moment captures the essence of Bee's character. She is aimless, unmoored, but deeply feeling. She wanders home and meets Puppycat, an alien creature who gives her temp jobs across fantastical dimensions. These cosmic gigs, fixing time portals, assisting strange beings, cleaning the house of a space fish, become Bee's way of coping with unemployment. They are absurd, dreamlike, and yet they mirror the freelance uncertainty that many young adults face. Unstable work, undefined identity, and a constant search for meaning in something temporary. From a psychological perspective, these missions can be seen as a form of adaptive escapism, a strategy to regulate stress and maintain psychological resilience. If we look at it this way, Bee and Puppycat transform fantasy into a coping mechanism, a gentle metaphor for how our imagination keeps us alive when real life feels unbearable. It reflects a therapeutical principle of narrative psychology, where storytelling allows individuals to process and make sense of emotional experiences. Throughout the show, Bee's missions aren't just escapism though, they are emotional processing. Each job mirrors a fragment of her inner struggle. In one of the episodes, she's tasked with baking a cake for a monster whose tears flood the room when his love goes unreciprocated. It's ridiculous and yet deeply human, illustrating effective empathy and emotional contagion, the phenomenon where observing another's emotions can evoke parallel feelings in oneself. In another episode, Bee listens to the holographic recording from her father, the one that sings happy birthday just for her. That moment hits hard. Attachment theory is at play here. Bee's longing for parental presence reflects the internal working model of secure attachment being disrupted, and the holographic recording acts as a transitional object that provides emotional comfort. So despite the surreal environment of the actual show, this is one of the rawest portrayals of loneliness in modern animation. Fantasy here becomes a form of emotional regulation and coping that allows Bee to manage uncertainty, stress, feelings of inadequacy throughout imaginative engagement and surrealism too. What's really special about Bee and Puppycat is that no one ever outright says, "I'm depressed" or "I'm lonely," but it's in every gesture, from the unwashed dishes to the late rent to the silence after a conversation. Bee's neighbor and landlord, Cardamon, appears composed, running his business with seriousness as if he were an adult. But in one of the episodes, we see his reality. His mother is lying in a coma, tubes running quietly through the room. He acts like an adult because he has to, not because he wants to, not because he has chosen to grow up fast. This is a perfect illustration of role strain and caregiver burden, highlighting how societal expectations and familial obligations can impact mental health. And that moment breaks the illusion of childish innocence, showing that maturity is often born out of necessity, not readiness. It's small, it's quiet, and it's exactly how grief works in the real world. It's a background noise that never goes away, and it usually arrives when we least expect it. One of the most subtle emotional threads runs through Bee's relationship with Deckard, her old friend, maybe something more, even. He decides to attend culinary school. Bee's reaction is heartbreakingly restrained. She smiles, supports him, but you can feel her isolation deepen. She's proud of him, but she's also stuck, watching someone move forward while she's still learning how to stand. This reflects the psychological concept of social comparison, where evaluating oneself against peers influences self-esteem and life satisfaction. By the time we reach the latter episodes, the emotional distance has grown. B still drifts between jobs while Deckard tries to anchor himself in something stable. Their arc runs parallel, both searching for belonging and both deeply afraid of change. Erikson's theory of psychosocial development, intimacy versus isolation, underpins these dynamics, showing the delicate balance between connection and independence. And then we have Puppycat with his sardonic voice and cryptic backstory that is more than just a comic relief. In one of the episodes, he pretends to be annoyed, constantly complaining about Bee's incompetence, but when danger hits, he shields her instinctively. And that quiet, reluctant affection reflects the way people who have been hurt often show love, indirectly, awkwardly, but deeply. This can be framed as attachment behavior in non-human agents, where reliance on a stable companion reduces anxiety and provides a sense of security, such as with emotional support animals. Just like the stereotypical cat, his grumpiness hides tenderness. His presence gives Bee structure, a partner, a friend, a reason to get up in the morning. The show illustrates how social support functions as a protective factor in mental health, buffering against stress and depressive symptoms. And there's a line in the show that feels universal. Sometimes being needed is the only thing that makes us feel real. In this show, the tone shifts often from older, sadder, and more fragmented, where a perfect metaphor for adulthood's weightless drift. This symbolizes existential dislocation and the psychological experience of alienation. In one episode, Bee tries to cook something meaningful to feel productive again. In another episode, Puppycat confronts his past, the betrayal, the curse, and it becomes clear that both characters are haunted in different ways. Even the surreal elements, the time loops, the cosmic markets, the floating islands, echo real emotional cycles. Trying, failing, pretending everything is fine, and trying again. It's a narrative illustration of resilience and the iterative process of coping with life stressors. At its core, Bee and Puppycat reminds us that being lost doesn't mean being broken. It's a story for everyone who feels like they should have figured out everything by now, but haven't. When Bee helps Cardamon with his mother, when Puppycat starts letting down his guard, when Bee finds wonder in her small, messy apartment, those are moments where healing quietly happens. Because ultimately, growing up isn't this one big moment of clarity. It's a slow, clumsy acceptance that life will never be as neat as the stories we were told, and that's perfectly okay. So through colors and music and surreal storytelling, being Puppycat translates our human anxieties, the unemployment, the heartbreaks, the isolation, into something gentle and dreamlike and deeply kind, too. It gently nudges us with the idea that even when life feels out of direction, we can still find meaning in being soft and wearing our hearts in our sleeve, in small acts of care, in helping others, in embracing our mess, and in believing that maybe in the middle of all the chaos, there is still room to rest, and there should still be room to rest. So if you have ever felt stuck or lonely or unsure of where you belong, maybe it's time to see the world through B's eyes, to find wonder in the small, quiet things without really knowing if it's gonna work out or not. Thank you for watching this video, and I would like to know about you. What's a small, magical thing that has helped you feel alive again when life gets too heavy? Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!